You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Hello, and welcome back with us for the second series of the first day in this round of 16. So, we showed a video earlier. If you have just joined us, you have to know that you can buy some in-game stuff with Matcherino, who is our sponsor. So, and you can participate into the prize pool. So that's a crowdfunding. And so far, we already have 35% of the prize pool.
You guys did super well.
Awesome.
You bought a lot of stuff. And, well, I guess it's quite normal considering they look kind of cool, those portraits, and sprays, and t-shirts and everything. But you did make the price pool go up by, I think, already $2,500, and it can go up to 10,000, which is, well, maybe more than. So if you said 35%, which means 3,500. See?
Yeah.
Mathematics.
Oh,
once
okay, that's
again.
how math works.
Yeah, it's all,
Cool.
it is exactly how it works, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Funko.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So keep supporting this tournament. And let's talk about the second series, Canada against Norway.
Interesting series. I mean, we don't have the strongest Canada possible. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
It is fair to say.
Yes.
So I will say it, and I already said it. Scarlett not being part of the team makes it maybe a slightly easier team to take on. But don't sleep on those guys, because we still have 3 Zerg players, which is kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
And yeah, no regrets. Crazy guy.
Yeah,
You
he has made it to Codas multiple times, although I don't believe he made it this time. That kind of sucks.
No, he
and
did
he's
not.
just always an aggressive Zerg player. Same for BioIce, actually. Although BioIce showed us some pretty solid macro games last time we saw him, too, so I don't want to quite label him because, you don't see him that often. But no regret. Like, he thrives. He bathes in the attention of how cheesy he is. He calls it the Mona Lisa. Okay, you guys
Of
don't have
course.
to worry about calling him cheesy because he likes it.
Oh yeah, he likes it, and that's also like a good personality to have as a player, because instantly your opponents are kind of afraid of you going into that all-in cheesy strategy, and then suddenly you've got guys that will play super defensively, and then if no regrets got like 200 IQ, then suddenly he goes like straight up 3 bases, 70 drones, and there's nothing you can do. And then obviously Jake did pretty well in the round of 32 match. He's got 2-1 in terms of statistics now in Nation Wars. So I think it's not an easy game at all for Norway, but I still favor them going into this this general best of 7.
Tell you here, Jake couldn't make it today.
Oh, okay.
So he's going to be replaced by Flout. But he's another Zerg
Still
It's
player.
another,
All Zerg.
still works.
Just like Sweden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, there is no team with old Terrans.
That's
Or
just-
even old Protoss. No, actually, I think
Oh,
there was
really?
one. I think there was one old Protoss team, but maybe it's gone already.
Yeah.
Bulgaria maybe was old Protoss.
Oh,
No. It was
Why do you do
another
this to
one.
us?
Yeah. Always. We always do that.
Hungary has 3 Terrans. And Canada
Oh.
faced Hungary in the first round.
Yeah.
oh, that's how they beat him.
So now
Okay.
Canada will face Norway.
Memory.
Good memory.
Great memory.
Yeah, but now they're facing Norway. Taking a look here. Look at Snit's profile, so pretty.
How cute he is.
Yeah. Okay, so Snoot, though, is the powerhouse guy here. We did see Scythe a little bit as Terran. Not really seen a lot of Poseidon as their Protoss, but Snoot is the guy that they're going to have to defeat twice. I mean, I don't really think there's any arguing that. I also think that he might be, oddly enough, kind of like the safer choice. I do think that ZVZ can be that wonky matchup, yet I also feel like it feels like No Regret gets his cheeses pulled off more so against the Terran with the Ling Floods, and Protoss, well, just about ditto. But I think Snoot's good ZVZer, solid European Zerg, must be good at ZVZ.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the matchups you have to work on the most. But look at his stats, 32 and 14. The guy's a beast in Nation Wars. He's got massive experience, already 3 all kills to his name. Well, considering he's got 32 wins, could argue that his all kill count could be a little bit higher. But as you said, he's going to be the player that you need to have a strategy against. Like, you need to figure out how the hell you're going to be able to beat that guy twice, considering how safe he plays in general. Like, he's the you know, the inventor of the 6-queen defense, you know, in ZVT, he can do it in every single matchup. He has that, you know, that defense on lockdown. That's what he does.
6 queens is a weak man's game, Funka.
Yeah,
It's 12 queens or die.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So how are your predictions about this match?
Well, for that, I still give Norway the better shot. I think I said 4-1 because I wasn't sure if they would throw out Snoot first, basically. I do not think Snoot will need a revive to defeat Canada, but that is possible.
All right. Well, what does Norigert has to say about that? Like, if you bet against him?
I don't think he expects anything differently.
Okay. I thought he would be mad and everything, but
Oh, we'll see.
we'll know because we will have the captains in interview. So you said 4-1, Roddy and I said 4-2.
And I said
Gene,
4-3.
you think it's gonna be that hard?
No, because like they're only Zergs. I personally hate Zerg. It's such a nightmare. So, you know.
Okay. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
They've got
sure,
3
why not?
Zergs, they get 3 wins.
Like,
See? It's simple math.
If Snoot drops a game, I mean, like Scythe and Poseidon, I don't know what they can do against Team Canada. So
I actually
that
think
could be a close game.
No, I mean you're right, but I do think that they're strong enough certainly to take out Flood. Although we don't really know much about Flood, so I guess I can't say that for sure. But I'm like pretty sure, as well as Bio Ice, where maybe No Regret can take them on too. It's like actually a little bit questionable. I say Snoot's the powerhouse, the one they have to beat, but it's not going to be super easy against the other two guys either.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's going to be a tough match, but yeah, we expected, you know, like kind of a middle of the road. But Ajin goes for a 7 game, you know, and we like those. we wanna see that happen.
Okay, well, let's talk about with our team captains here. Hello. So we have No Regret and Poseidon with us. Okay, we'll start with No Regret. How do you feel? It's not too late this time?
Yeah, it's only almost 3 a.m., so, you know,
I mean,
not that late.
that's a normal day for a pro gamer, right? Do you ever
Yeah,
go to bed
I
before
mean,
3 a.m.?
I like to have a nice sleep schedule, okay? It puts your day on track and, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can forfeit for this. Forfeit my sleep schedule for a victory here.
Oh.
Okay.
Where are your roommates? Last time it was really funny with your roommates behind you, cheering for you.
I've got one.
Hi,
special.
is it Major?
Yeah, it's special.
Yes.
Okay,
Everyone.
tell us more about Flood. So G couldn't make it today. Flood is gonna play with you. So tell us about this player.
I probably know about as much about Flood as you do, to be honest.
Okay.
Cool.
Like, I actually don't. I know. I think I don't know.
You know what race he plays?
He's a Canadian. He's a Canadian.
Okay, and
Okay.
he plays.
He's Grandmaster.
Okay.
Yes.
And he's a Zerg player.
Okay.
That's all you need to know?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes him a threat, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Grandmaster Zerg player from Canada.
We'll see. I'm hoping he's, you know, he's been practicing on the Korean ladders, but to break out some crazy strategies and kill everybody, but who knows?
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions for No Regret?
Oh yeah. Well, last time I think you were actually saying how if you had to come out for Team Canada, then the other guys failed, and you did have to come out for Team Canada. Are you under the same feeling today?
I mean, assuming they play Snoot last, then I assume I would have to come out for Snoot. I'm hoping that's the only situation I'm coming out.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll
so
see.
let's talk with Poseidon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. So have you been practicing for this game? After you've seen the group drawn, what did you think? Playing against
Was
Canada.
quite happy. Was like feeling that this is a free pass to Round of 8.
Ooh.
That it's going to be quite hard match maybe against Italy, but I think that the 2 other matches should be quite easy for us.
Easy
You think
wins.
China's easy?
So China and Canada are both easy in
Interesting.
your
Ooh.
team. Well, I mean, if you had to say like which group is the group of this? Like you've seen all the
C.
groups, right? Yeah, Group C.
C.
Okay. So I guess in a way, like I can't be mad at you saying those 2 teams were easy because yes, Group C is way harder, I think, on paper. First of all, your wall looks better than last time. I don't really know why, but it does look better. Like it also looks like your camera is better.
Oh, thanks. It's the same camera, but I had to work a bit up. I didn't want to get caught off guard by Rotti again, you know?
Okay. So, what's the goal for Team Norway here? Like, obviously, you said free pass to the round of 8. Where can you guys go from there?
really depends on like which teams is going to get out of the other groups, but by getting first in this group will give us a bit easier opponent most likely in the round of 8, and of course our goal is to get to Paris.
Okay, sounds good.
So
more specifically
okay,
for today, for right now, I guess, I was going to ask what your goals are for this match here. Like, are you depending on Snoots once again, or do you think that you and Scythe can actually take out the Canadian group?
I think we got
Do
some
you think the
pretty
Norwegian
good
B team
builds.
can take out the Canadian B team? That's the question.
Yeah, I feel like the facing Canada without Scarlet is like facing a team without men, you know? I feel like it's going to be quite
Yeah, so
simple.
we're missing our Scarlet, but you guys got your Snoot, so you know?
Okay, so what
I
are
think
your...
that both me and Scythe is capable of taking games of these guys. As you see, No Regrets' performance this year isn't as good as last year. You see, he lost the Wheelie this year, as well as he lost PSL qualifier. So I'm not confident
First off,
that
it's March. It's March. I had an entire year last year, okay? It's 3 months in, and I have coached someone to a championship, I'll have you know, where they won.
Yeah,
with
but
my
you still
bid.
lost the Avilo. That's really good shit.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. I mean, I guess.
Okay, so apparently they're doing
I
their
know we're
own
being-
interview.
Nice.
I like it.
It's fun.
We're being judged by our ladder skill. Wait, what MMR are you on ladder?
We'll wait.
You can't see it, to be honest.
I'm
actually.
waiting. Yeah. I mean, do you want
It's
me to Google
6K
it?
MMR.
It's
6K.
on Europe, right? So that's like 5.3, 5.2
Yes.
in Korea. That's not bad. I think my Protoss is 5.3, so we're around the same level with off-race.
Okay.
Jake's on fire here.
So
Just kidding, I love you, buddy.
what happens then, Poseidon? Like, I think we're getting close to the question we all want to ask is, do you send yourself first? Because if you send Snoots, then I can't say it on stream, but you're full of something.
Well,
Yeah.
we can't use the big guns early, you know, so
Okay.
we have to save the best for the last.
Okay. So, which is it gonna be? You or Scythe?
It's going to be easy 4-0, so we're going to bring out the Snoots.
Oh,
I'm so
that was
mad.
a trick.
I'm so,
Interesting.
this. Okay.
Okay, so Snoot will be starting for Norway. What about Canada?
Well, we're playing our ace flood. So we'll see what happens.
That you don't know about. Okay.
Well,
The
that
Snoop
could
killer.
be
He actually
surprising.
took games off of Neeb earlier, so you know, we'll
Oh,
see
Oh,
what
really?
happens.
Did he?
He took a
psychological
game
warfare.
off Neeb on ladder, but since my loss to Avilo counts for something, then Neeb's loss to Flood also counts for something. So Flood's a WCS champion, I think.
That's fair.
At least, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for the interview. I wish
Okay.
the best of luck. And so it's gonna be Flood against Snoot for the first game in the series. See you later.
I'm disappointing in you, Poseidon. I am.
Okay,
He
so
starts saying like he doesn't need Snoot, and then he sends him right away. Like, what is this?
I don't know. He just, well, I mean, he probably wants to be over with this as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
Okay.
I still think his whole interview game plan was thrown out the window when he said Snoot first.
A little bit.
Yeah.
True.
I'm disappointed.
the chat thinks Norway is gonna win. 68% of you have voted for them.
Okay. That's fair. It's, I don't know. The last chat interaction though with China and Italy was like a little too Italy favored, and then now it's like maybe it's not Norway favored enough, like, but it's pretty close.
Yes.
If I could, I'd go on chat and vote for Canada just because of the interview. So that's where I stand. But yeah, no, interesting first game. I think, yes, Snoot definitely has the power to all kill. That's something he did 3 times already in Nation Wars. Got amazing stats. But yeah, I wish we would have seen Poseidon. I like the idea of, B Norway against B Canada, like trying to fight each other.
Are you just really upset because now your
I am.
prediction's probably not going to come true?
No, it has nothing to do with my prediction. I already won round of 32.
Oh,
I can
okay.
just,
Oh, that's all you want?
Yeah, that's all I want. That's all I want. I can't take the
The
pressure.
true pro gamer's dream.
I can't take the pressure.
I just want to reach the round of 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I want to see fun games, upsets, so I'm looking forward to this. Flood, we don't know this player, so
Hajin, the Korean girl. I just want to have fun games.
Yeah, I want fun games. Please cheer for me. Cheer for good games, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, upset potential. Obviously, you send snoots. Yeah, you don't have to, wait that long to see if upsets are possible.
Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
See what Flood has to show. Maybe I'll Flood with Lings. And that'll be good. That'll be good enough.
Thank you. You said it early. You said it super early, so now, like when we say it in the game, it's not gonna look as bad.
Watch him never even make any Lings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just go straight to roaches.
Might happen.
Yeah, double Evo stuff like that.
Okay, so here we go for the first game in this series. Canada against Norway.
And it is going to be on Backwater.
And you know what we like to do is analyze why they sent out a Zerg to play against another Zerg on Backwater.
Okay.
So now we get to do it.
We love doing that.
Yes.
We love talking about ZVZ.
Oh yeah.
It is one of the best matchups of all time. Back in Brood War, it was the most dynamic, macro-oriented.
Mass mulisks.
It was amazing.
And,
Quite.
And the corruptors from back then, I can't remember the names of those.
Devourers?
Devourers.
There you go.
That's a pretty sick name, to be honest.
Yeah, but they looked really dumb.
They did.
Yeah, I mean,
They
even
did.
with the
They were
before the
slow
HD.
and they spew like purple thingies on top of units.
Yeah. You never really are sure what they're doing until you ask an actual guy that actually played Brood War. You're just like, I don't know what they're doing. Okay, we are in game number 1. We will analyze the choice of player and the map after the introductions. The bottom right, as the red Zerg for Canada, it is Flood.
And in the top left, a double champion of Nation Wars in the blue. He is Snoot for Norway. And obviously, the overwhelming favorites of this game. But as we mentioned earlier, we don't know that much about Flood, except the fact that he beat Neeb today in ladder.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good luck charm, isn't it?
Of course.
You beat him once, and it's like you get good luck for the next 24 hours. Something like that. Neeb does not get beat very often, so I'm actually kind of serious about that. But I don't know if that's really going to translate into ZVZ. I mean, does it translate to a tournament setting as well? These guys aren't offline, but it is still a tournament. That can be a lot of different pressure. No idea if Flood is even familiar, there we go, with tournaments. I don't believe I've seen his name in anything.
Yeah. And if you didn't see him in any tournament, considering the amount of tournaments you casted, and those online cups and stuff like that,
There's actually so much StarCraft, though, that even though that's a great compliment, it's like I still only cast like
30.
a fourth of it, or like maybe even less. Like, it's insane.
I'd say you're about 33%.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But
That's about it.
Yeah, but there's like Go for StarCraft and stuff. anyways, it's going to be a big difference. And going up against Snoot, who I imagine Flood has got to be a fan of, if he's been playing for any amount of time, certainly you've had to look at Snoot as a Zerg player to replicate. Maybe you're looking at Cyril now more so, but I don't know, he's an old favorite, and he's very good player to look at macro-wise, which we should speak of, because both players are so far doing a macro game. Flood does take the third base a little bit faster. Snoot's going to bother putting on a Bailey Nest. I do think it is in Snoot's best interest to play the safer game, so... he could have waited to take a third base and then a Bailey Nest, absolutely. He's going to actually see that that's what Flood did and be able to match him, but, obviously a little bit later.
Yeah, well, I agree with you in a way. Like, if you see Snut going the more aggressive way, that's a nice block. He's going to get all 4 Zerglings. That's actually quite important right now. No vision on the map on the side of Snoot. Nothing to be used to harass a little bit. He will have to produce those 4 Zerglings again, and that's a super late third. Like you mentioned, he put it down a little bit earlier. Now it's looking like 50, 60 more seconds, a little bit. Well, just a little bit over 50 seconds in advance for Flood. So let's see if he tries to do something with that, because obviously getting a lot more injects going, a lot more lava would be useful. Now both players have Zergling speed, and for now. No damage dealt. Nice micro from Snut, but this drone will fall. That's actually the second one.
Yeah, this is not a bad start at all. The clever queen positioning, the faster third. even at the faster speed that let him skyrocket past to kill those drones, it's very slight stuff here. And Snoot, even though his third was later, he technically had the drone lead anyways, so it's still like one of those like give and take ZVZs. But you're always a little bit worried, I think, when you see someone you don't know up against someone you've known and is so history like Snoot. You're just kind of worried that like 6 lengths killed him. And you're always like, okay, A+ when that doesn't happen. And Flood even has a couple of cool tricks, but it is on to Roaches. Not really an ideal map to play the Ling Baneling Wars, just because the third base isn't actually vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, I'd say if it was a better map for Ling Bane, then suddenly that, slight advantage, well, rather pretty decent advantage he had on the third base could have been a trigger for him to go for that YOLO Ling Bane attack, considering how many more larvae he gets, but that's not going to be his strategy here. As you mentioned, Roaches, Ravagers are more the units of style here on Backwater, but he's got a pretty fast layer, so that's that Gliral Reconstitution will be over fairly soon for Flood. He's got that opportunity, he knows about that late third, so if you Flood right there, don't you just try for a massive +1 timing on Roaches and just, you don't look past it. You're like, I'm going to kill him right there. I've got more larva. I've got the, slightly faster hatchery. He cut drone production. He's going to go for it.
Yeah, but is he though? Like, it's not going to time it with +1. It's not going to time it with Roach. Well, maybe it would time it with Roach speed, but no, it goes back into droning, and I was just going to talk about how I think like if Flood was going to do an all-in, then I would have liked it to have been the no hatchery version. No hatchery, no evolution chamber, because that actually might have hit at a pretty decent time. Snoot has been above his worker count by like at least 4. Even now we have 7.
Yep.
And by the time Flood, if he chooses to do that, +1 timing attack, by that time, Snoot would have already reaped the rewards from his higher drone count and have had an equally large army. So it's not an all-in at all on
surprised.
Either upgrade, no upgrades, whatever. It is a Spire. Blood still finds himself behind on drones, but is now finally going above. Snoot's going to see that third base is in fact being droned. Doesn't quite scout that very last gas.
Yeah, well, I'm really surprised. Like, he had so much less drones than his opponent during this entire game. Like Snoot was just better at producing drones in general with the timings and everything. Didn't look back. It was like, no, I just can drone a little bit more, which means that economically speaking, Snoot has been ahead this entire game, even though he had a pretty late third, and now he's got a massive amount of Roaches, 25 to the 10 of Flood. So obviously he did throw down his Spire, and he's building way more drones. That's 11 more. That seems rather greedy, if I can say, considering the amount of Roaches that's on the opposite side of the map. So apparently Flood just want to go for something super, super greedy to just try and take out Snoot, considering he's the underdog here. But I see an attack that he can't really hold right there.
Yeah, this actually I thought was about to be mistimed. I was a little worried that Snoot, despite making all those Roaches, despite being at a good drone supply, wasn't going to move out, in which case Flood's Mutas find him on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
But now that Snoot is already over here when the Mutas pop, this is going to do a significant amount of damage because Flood really does not have a Roach army to back this up. Eventually, Snoot will be cleaned up. But, I mean, the Bork is gone, the Natural might also be gone, the Roach Warren is in a very vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
Desperate Spine Crawlers coming up here.
Yeah, they're a little bit too late to the party, and Snoot comes in. It's like, okay, is that all you got? Because those 8 Molodesks are not really afraid to, scary to me. And now those Roaches are dying right now. 2 Spines already went down. The third one will pop, probably poke 1 Roach just the once. And now those Roaches, they've got free reign of doing anything they want in every single mineral line. We see some drones starting to fall. 2 drones, the Spire is exposed, and yes, Flood tried for something quite greedy, but was just punished for it.
He was playing greed at too late of a time, too. Like, Snoot just played the smarter, more economic-focused game. Flood tried to do the same thing, but later. And, I don't know, it's not too surprising when we consider what we know about Snoot, what we know about his EVZ, that he does find those leads, that Flood is the one to play a little... just a little less on the drones, but I guess this is kind of like a highlight of what it means to be Snoot versus GMNA. No disrespect, it's just Snoot's really good.
No, Snoot is really, really good, and he, makes the right calls, and that's what happened in this game. I mean, He was building roaches at an appropriate timing and had a massive amount of. And yeah, Flood, I'm just, wondering about the decision he made, because it looked like he completely stopped drone production, stayed at 46, and then suddenly, after Snoot was enjoying his drone lead for about a minute, started to climb back on that drone war, which made him in a super vulnerable position, because he went to 70 drones or something on 4 bases while trying to get Mullisk. And as you said, just the timing was off. And now he tries to counterattack, but the supply tells the tale. We're looking at a Snoot with 71 drones that is not on the verge of dying whatsoever. It's like 96 supply, 100 to 101 supply against the 78. He's actually going to get the surround, and those Ravagers are fully exposed. He's got Hydralisk to fight against the Mutalisks, and that's a GG well played. Rather easy game for Snoots.
It was. He was not punished for getting a few more drones, and in fact, Flood was ultimately punished for not having enough drones, and then having way too many at the exact wrong time.
And then now I'm going to go into full drone production, and Snoot is sitting with 35 roaches. I think I'm going to attack you.
It's going back to the old, what people would say about ZVZ, the game of drones. When do you drone appropriately? Which I feel when we see the likes of Snoot versus Serral, they'll probably be neck and neck most of the time. They'll be reading into each other, so such smart moves that'll be not even worth mentioning. But in a game like that, you really got to be oh, wait a second. 7 extra drones really starting to do well.
That's the thing, right? We were looking at a game where nothing pretty much happened for the 5-6 first minutes, and there was still that huge drone discrepancy between the two players. Usually it means somebody is going to go for A+1 attack, or at least a timing or something. And then, he tried to go back on that drone war, but slightly later I'm just confused a little bit by what he tried to do. But for Canada, not the greatest of starts. Snoot is just, warming up. Okay.
Yeah.
Just bring me another one now. And the question is, who is it going to be?
That is the question. Either No Regret pops out, comes in and rescues Canada, I suppose, or BioIce. BioIce had a couple of good games last time we saw him. I believe literally a couple, if I remember correctly. And certainly can be the next tier, I suppose. Again, we don't know much about Flood. Maybe BioIce is actually better or worse than Flood. I wouldn't know. But from what we know, name recognition, BioIce.
I agree. Tier 1 until Tier 2, and then maybe you go into No Regret to finish off with the Tier 3. I think we've got a couple of tweets we can show you guys as we wait for the next player for Team Canada.
Yeah. No, go back to the cat.
Okay.
Oh, is it a kitten? Wait, what is it?
Is that a human being? No, it's just a cat.
It is a cat, its paw over its eyes, right? Something like that.
Watching the game?
Whatever it is.
No memes, just love. Okay, Borsi, we'll see about that when we'll see Norway against Germany, if you still have love.
just a picture of happy Rainer.
It could be a cat, right? It's Rainer, but it's as cute as a cat.
He's cute as a cat.
Cute as a cat.
Yeah.
Cute as a cat. And we'll know about the next player for Canada. It seems like the decision was a little bit hard to make. Doesn't mean that we go instantly into No Regrets.
I guess so. Unfortunately,
that's what I can tell from the timing of it.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Do we agree?
We're always correct.
Do we agree?
No.
Okay, you think it's BioIce?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we don't agree, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Could
isn't
be
it?
50-50, right?
That's literally what it is.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. No regrets.
Cool.
See? So when you disagree with me, then I'm right. So when are you right?
It feels like a no-win situation because I can never be the one that is right and you're the one that's wrong. Oh, okay. Well,
interesting.
That's okay. So No Regret pops out first. I do expect him to be the revive too, so I don't know if this is an issue of him wanting to go to sleep. But you play a ZVZ against Snoot. I don't think you find many weaknesses scouting for this matchup and against this player. You're not determining if they go mech or bio, if they go cheesy or macro, because you can really expect certain things from Snoot. He just does them particularly well. So what did Jake see in that last game? I mean, he did see Snoot droning. The whole topic of the last game was that he droned and another guy did it.
Also, I do think that No Regrets sees more than us to anything in ZVZ in particular. It's like, okay, I've seen the weakness.
Yeah, he sees in 4 dimensions.
Oh yeah.
Fourth dimension being cheese.
It's of course not being time at all in this situation, but cheese. Okay, so the votes changed a little bit. Still like 2/3 for Norway, 35 now for Canada. And we will start this next game as soon as possible as No Regret comes into the fray. So are we looking at like a, standard something like Zergling pool, and then, YOLO attack and you try to take out Snoot as he drones? Or do we see something more technical coming out from the side of No Regrets?
Yeah, as often enough that I called him cheesy. I mean, it is smart cheese. This guy doesn't...
He is super smart.
Yeah, doesn't get into GSL just by being a regular old cheeser. So I do think it's something we're going to be a little bit smarter than just an early pool, although that could certainly be what it is. When No Regret comes into play, I always think 2-base Ling Flood, though, no matter what matchup it is. And we are going on to Acid Plant, which is one of our larger maps. A little bit topsy-curvy.
Yep. Exactly. It looks like a rather short map, but it is not. Don't get fooled. And obviously, when you take down those rocks, then suddenly you've got a faster path to your opponent. But Zerglings are not good to do that. So we'll see what he decides to do. And that's going to be a super early hatchery.
Hatchery?
It's going to be a 14 hatchery from this guy. In the top left, as the Zerg player in the red. For Canada, No Regrets.
Oh, I did say that he was smart.
Yeah.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, he is Snoots for Norway.
So rather conventional hatchery first on the side of Snoots. It's going to be a 17 hatch against the 14 hatchery of No Regret.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's key about this is not necessarily a hatchery timing, although it clearly is off as well, but that he didn't make more drones and go like 14 hatch, 18 gas, 7. Like, it wasn't like that. Riggers goes into like a regular-looking game because that would be weird. He does also add on his gas and spawning pool at a very low drone count, so still something that's going to be aggressive, but there's a trick here, and that's Zergs always depend on Overlord scouting first and foremost. Even 10 minutes in the game, they could be purely depending on their Overlord scout. You see the hatchery, you assume everything's A-okay, and then you leave. But it's actually not A-okay, and I want to see exactly what No Regret has in store for the follow-up.
I think it's a Zergling Flood. Zergling Flood on 2 bases. And I think it's a pretty decent start because you'll get those extra injects. This queen will pop super early. And I do remember, I think it was back in WESG, I think Zergamdi used this build against Sort of. I think he used it against Stefano as well. I think it's Zergamdi. I think he's Turkish. I think it was the Turkish player that was back then in WESG, Europe.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really, really smart strategy. He did have a couple of builds like this and was able to take down some really strong opponents. But Snoot, once again, goes for a Baneling Nest quite early. I'd say earlier than last game. Well, about the same timing, to be honest.
Yeah, probably around the same time, which I'm sure No Regret noticed and is assuming. Because Snoot also did this, I believe, last time he played. In the last best of 7 he had to play in, he would go for the safe openers, assuming that his macro would carry him through. This should not be a shock for No Regret. I think, of course, he is just hoping that Snoot doesn't make Lings, only gets 2 cautionary Banelings, and then is surprised by the fact that there's a huge Ling flood. But No Regret really isn't doing anything, like, I would say, really that tricky. It is tricky in a way, but you can always expect a 2-base Ling all-in as a Zerg player. So the fact that he opened up with a 14 hatch is a little bit odd, but Snoot should already be on guard. He is. He makes 4 Banelings as soon as he sees the Lings flood through, and he was already making Lings, already making 2 extra Queens. I feel like this is a great start for him.
Yeah, it is a super great start as the Baneling pop out of the cocoons, and that's most of the Zerglings from No Regret that are already down. He will get a pretty decent trade against those couple of Zerglings that were slightly behind, but goes back to droning. That Queen position, quite odd. We'll get that Overlord. Overlord will scout the Banelings. Do you cancel them? Are you being that cheeky, No Regret? No, not even cancelling them. Probably afraid of a potential counterattack. He will climb back in the drone war here. 21 for Snoot to the 19 of No Regrets. So I guess the game resets a little bit, but you've been in a rough spot in terms of economy ever since the beginning of the game.
Yeah, no regrets. Still like kind of feeling the pain from having fewer drones for a while. He also will have less queens for defense, and he also just simply has less army right now. Snoots, he did leave a couple banelings back at home, so this should not do a whole lot. Not even grabbing that queen, and then Snoots actually I guess he didn't send things across the map, and it doesn't deal with this like in the most clean way possible.
Yeah, not at all. As the Zerglings in the counter-attack are doing a little bit of damage, and he was those banelings already in the mineral line. That's 3 more. You will get 3 drones extra. That sits 6 in total, 17 to 25. And No Regret was trying to climb back in this game in terms of economy, and now he goes back to the Stone Age. You know, it's like, yeah, you go back to 17 drones, and let's see what you can do as I take my 3rd, and I've got my trusty queens.
Yeah.
It's got 5 of them.
You know, he was down in army supply, but what does that really mean in Ling Baneling Wars?
Yeah.
There is a world where he defends perfectly and does not lose any drones and is in a perfectly fine, well, he's in a fine macro spot, but it's always going to be difficult, as No Regrets. I mean, to be truthful here, like, he does great cheesy, he has all-ins, he has clever all-ins, he has some really fantastic micro, which is why he's able to execute them so well. Although having some difficulty here just because he doesn't have any lings of his own.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can have the greatest micro of all time, but you still don't have any units to fight against Zerglings. It's quite tough, even though it didn't lose that much. He's still behind. 32 drones to the 26, trying to grab a 3rd base. I think the drone was taken out. It's going to go and grab another one. As Snoots has his 3rd base about to finish, and he's got a roach warrant. So that's another layer of technology that Snoot will be able to use against No Regrets, rather bad technology state. No roach warrant inside.
Yeah. Gonna go for a faster layer. We'll see if that does lead into roaches. If he starts +1 missile, then I assume so, but maybe it's something a little bit sneakier. But No Regret, as cool as his early game can be, there is just, I've seen him try and play macro games. I've seen him try and macro out of a situation or straight up play a macro game. Kind of that whole, like, the cheesiest thing a cheeser can do, blah, blah, blah. And it usually doesn't actually own up to whoever he's playing. Excuse me, like a guy like Snoot.
Yeah.
So even though he would try and maybe he doesn't lose those drones that he did and he doesn't fall behind, I still would give Snoot the macro game 10 out of 10.
Yeah, for sure. And that 3rd base is going to be cancelled. Snoot, with the proper timing, pulls the banelings out of position, gets a couple of drones at the same time, and now I don't think there is anything that No Regret can do, even though the banelings are working quite well and pushing away those pesky Zerglings. But yeah, the hatchery, you have to cancel it, and he will. And yeah, that's just a rough spot to be in. And yes, he's got +1 way before his opponent. But Snoot's 89 supply, sits on 3 bases, starts his roach production, and still has a massive amount of units on the field. 58 against the 14.
He just made army. I mean, the only reason he fell behind in drones was because he was making army the entire time. And if this doesn't work, he always has that much faster 3rd to fall back on. But I have a feeling with that army supply difference, this will work for Snoot.
This will work for Snoot. I do agree with you, Jess. I think there's not that much to be said here. No Regret taps out. He agrees with us. That's a 2nd GG, 2nd victory from Snoot. And yeah, rough spot for Canada. Already sends out No Regret, but Snoot's well aware of the tendency of No Regret to go for designated pressures. And yeah, defends it with his.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say. Like, he defends and cheese and then he wins. You know, it was almost clever with the earlier hatchery and the earlier pool and all that, but it still kind of amounted to what Snoot expected, which is something with 2 base ling all in, you know, regardless of the exact timings of it.
So we have a 2-0 here for Snoot, who started for Team Norway. And the next player is BioWire, the 3rd and last player for Canada.
Yeah, tough spot to be in. He showed no weaknesses whatsoever in the 2 games, I believe. Well, not a ZVZ expert once again, but I don't think that's, you know, sitting back as BioIce or as No Regret just before. You're like, yeah, of course, I know where I can put my my attack, what kind of strategy I should use. You just have a Snoot that's a wall in terms of defense and just knows how to defend everything. And then suddenly you have to go into this game and you don't feel that comfortable, I think, if you're BioIce.
I don't think you feel that comfortable, but I think that he's a confident enough guy that he thinks he has a shot even in a bit of a macro game. I think there are still clever timings that you can hit. It doesn't have to be an early pull. It doesn't have to be a 2-base all-in. You can go 3 hatch and then test Snoot's micro. You can go 3 hatch and then go for the no lair all-in, which can sometimes be hard to scout. There's so many things that can happen that I don't want to entirely throw out our Canadian Zergs, but Snoot's well-versed in basically everything they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be a tough one any way you look at it. But yeah, if BioIce is a confident player, then suddenly maybe you look at a game where we actually see a proper macro game. Like you go up to 3 bases, you hope you don't fall behind with the Ling bailing micro war, and then you see where that game takes you. I think that's what I expect for the next game.
Okay, so next game is gonna be BioIce against Snoot on Eastwatch. So keep tweeting at us, and we'll be back after a short break. Hello, and welcome back with us. I'm here with Zombie Grub and Rotterdam for the 3rd game with the 2nd series of the day.
BioIce is now coming out for Canada. They're not quite last hope, but they're going to have to revive someone after this.
Yeah, it's looking a little grim. Jens looks like he's on fire. He loves to pad those stats as well in Nation Wars. He saw those graphics. He's like 32 wins. 36 would look a lot better, and maybe I can make it 40 at the end of the day. I think it's going to be very tough. You kind of hope for Canada that No Regret can, come up with something funky, catch Jens off guard, but looked really good in the first 2 games. It's just more ZVZ, and I don't really have any reason to suspect that Snoot is suddenly not going to be solid here.
But let me remind you here, it's round of 16, it's a double elimination bracket, so even Canada would lose here against Norway, they'll have to play against China tomorrow, so it's not over yet.
No, it's not over, and obviously I feel this group is very wide open on paper. You look at the star players, and then you kind of feel that for China it's time, for Norway it's obviously Snoot. For Canada, it's a little closer, but No Regret is obviously the most established player. I think not having Jig today is a really big loss, because Jig is really a player that you can count on and is absolutely capable of beating the other guys and maybe even cause an upset.
Yeah, it is a little unfortunate he couldn't make it. Flood not looking quite up to par. But Snoots would be solid against any other Zerg. I mean, even if it was up against Cyril, I mean, I'd still give it to Cyril, but like I'd be like, oh, no, Snoots pretty good, like it's his shot. So it's tough for Canada.
Okay, so it's time for the 3rd game. It's gonna be Snoot against BioIce.
That is
Here we go.
So good old BioIce, of course, a player that I'm pretty familiar with. If you play a lot of North American ladder, you have run into this man once or twice. He is a very fun Zerg player to watch, though. Loves his run-bys, loves to make a few more units than you expect most Zerg players to do. And then normally he goes for counterattacks, try to go for non-stop harassment. Not really the type of player that sits back only and macros up. But can you really do that against Snoot? If you make units against Snoot, I feel you already put yourself in a position where, okay, I better do something with this, otherwise he's going to hit me with a timing attack later. That's going to be too much to handle.
Yeah, and so far Snoot has been playing a very solid defensive game. I think he's not worried about falling a couple of drones behind against these guys, so he prefers doing the bailing us on 2 base, which, if it was on a 3rd base last game, that's a very, very different game. And I don't think he's going to stop, especially since I do believe he knows a little bit about BioIce. But we'll see what happens on Eastwatch, a very fun map. In the top right, as the red Zerg for Canada, it is BioIce.
That's your definition of fun. You look at the Eastwatch and you're like,
Yeah, it's a fun time, man.
Over here on the left bottom side, we're looking at the man who's representing Norway. He's taking a 2-0 lead so far. Can he get the job done by himself? It's Snoot.
You have, walls that tank can magically shoot over and kill all the banelings. It's a fun time.
No, it is a fun map. I also love the way it's designed with the little rail tracks, or road tracks going around the map. Of course, we've got a gold base as well. And this is one of the very few maps we've ever had that truly does rocks right. There's actually cool stuff you can do with rocks. They're being used pretty frequently. So it's fun. It's also, of course, this is one of these maps as well where even Zerg struggles with the map vision a little bit. It's really hard to see all the potential attack paths. It's really hard to always have an Overlord in the right place. So maybe if BioEyes decides to do something sneaky, there is a chance he can make his way to the other side of the map being undetected.
Yeah, I think when you look at No Regret style, it can be clever up to the point where he makes lings and then he tries to bludgeon you to death, and sometimes it works. You look at BioEyes' style, and it's not necessarily about the super clever builds, but he does have some clever positioning on his lings, which is going to take advantage of Eastwatch a lot more than just sending lings across the map. If he hides some lings, if he goes to the counter, if he goes for the run by, when you get down to 3, maybe even 4 bases, I think Snoot could find himself unaware, undefended. But if it's going to be a straight up just kind of numbers versus numbers games, then I think Snoot's going to make the right call every time.
Yeah, it would be fun to maybe see some Nidus come into play as well. A lot of players do play a little bit greedier on a map like Eastwatch, because even if your opponent tries to, catch you off guard with some sort of a ground attack, it still takes a while until those units are at the other side of the map. Of course, Nidus doesn't really care about distance, and that's one of the reasons why you see Niduses pretty often in the other 2 matchups on this map. But perhaps we can even see him bust something out in a ZVZ against Snoot. We see BioEyes already sending his drone out towards the gold. All right.
I'd be so tilted seeing that mineral in the drone's mouth. I'd be like, no, bring it back.
No, go back. Yeah, exactly. 5 minerals. I mean, people have lost base trades over 5 minerals.
That's true. Taking the gold base, to me, just signals that he does plan on being aggressive on 3 bases more than macro. Snoot this game does not go for the 2-base Baneling nests, but I don't think it's still like a very safe timing immediately after the 3rd. BioEyes, kind of a similar build, just the difference being the gold base.
Yeah, I like the fact that Snoot is already going to throw down his own rocks, or knock down his own rocks rather. Makes it a little bit harder for BioEyes if BioEyes decides to make a silly amount of Zerglings or Banelings as well. Snoot doesn't have to worry about this attack path from the north anymore, so he can focus all his attention towards the center and perhaps the south side as well, but he knows where these potential attacks could come from. Maybe BioEyes is not going to be aggressive though. Sometimes they really sell us the idea that they want to be aggressive, and that's kind of what we expect them, because A, because of the expand patterns they take, and B, because of their reputation, and then they actually just try to play an economic game and get ahead in that way. But we've got quite a few Zerglings on the way, so let's see if our Canadian Zerg can find an opening somewhere.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult. It's going to come down to Ling-Baneling wars. Snoot's going to figure this out, figure that he needs a certain amount of lings. And while he might be caught 10 lings under, because he does go back on a droning, at some point he's going to be alerted to just how dedicated BioEyes is to this. Baneling's actually... This is so
the drones.
No.
I would wait a little bit with that if I was you, BioEyes. He's going to fight with the drones instead, but now you've got to run away. Of course, we have those 4 Banelings on the south side of the map, not really getting much done at all. And meanwhile, Snoot is actually getting a pretty decent trade here already, getting 4 drones and hoping for more.
Yeah, that was a very scary drone transfer. It could have been all of them dead if they run into those Banelings, but instead, Snoot tried to use them on the lings. It looks like BioEyes is going to be able to clean this up and save 2 of the drones. But losing 5. He's at half the drone count of Snoot.
And half those drones have also not been mining for the last 12 or 15 seconds. So it's safe to say that BioEyes really needs to do something with his counterattack. He has a few more lings on the way. He has plenty of Banelings morphing on the side of Snoot right now. But he needs to do a lot of damage, guys. Being down 18 workers in a 5-minute game, BioEyes is on the clock.
We actually have Snoot with a very fast lair here. I wonder what he plans on doing for that, but we have a lot of Banelings for BioEyes. They need to be taken care of first. More are trickling in. Snoot's down to 3. He's making at least 1 more. I mean, I guess this is going to be enough. 1 Baneling left for BioEyes. That's going to be sniped. He makes a desperate dive to the main to at least make things complicated. But Snoot's, I don't know if he's too worried about this.
I mean, with the Banelings, this makes it so hard, right? BioEyes is getting a couple of drones, that's nice, but it's safe to say he needs more than just a couple of drones. Tried to morph a few more Banelings as well, but so far he's not succeeding in that. Snoot a little sloppy there, or perhaps that was on purpose actually, just to make his own life easier. BioEyes is annoying, and he definitely got some work done, but I don't think it's what he was hoping for.
He also scouted the lair, which, I mean, you saw no Roachborn, no Evolution Chamber, just the lair. I mean, there's really only one thing you would expect from that, Aspire, but will Snoot actually take the chance for that without that much gas? Ooh. It's probably just going to be a wasted lair for a while.
Snoot's still making 5 more drones while being on the Dismos pressure. It's actually kind of unnecessary. He really didn't need to, but he is getting a couple of defensive banes once again. But I feel that Snoot made his own life a tiny bit more difficult than it had to be. On the other end, perhaps this just screams the confidence that Snoot has. Has to be a little careful with his Banelings there, but he gets the connections that he's looking for. And I mean, Snoot defense.
Yeah, every time it gets a queen kill, the Snoot has already remade them anyways. I think he's trying to get to a nicer count though. Like, so BioIce is doing something to annoy Snoot, but it's all about holding, and Snoot so far is holding as the map. I mean, Lings are fast, but the map is still kind of favoring him. Couple Banelings now running into the natural. Snoot's actually taking it very seriously. But only one lives, and oh, it's a pretty nice shot on a lot of Lings.
Yeah, I mean, Snoot has so many queens as well. At any given moment, there are 3 queens on the production tab. I feel quite a few of them went down, but it just seems like it never stops. I mean, 5 queens went down, but all of these queens did a fantastic job in sniping those Banes, and of course, zoning those Banes out as well. And you know, BioIce is microing his heart out, but he's fighting an unfair battle. Yes, you've got the gold, but you're down 18 workers.
Yeah, imagine if he had actually kept those, like, 5 workers alive. He didn't have to remake them, so he maybe attacks a bit faster. There's a whole world of possibilities. But Snoot, so far, I mean, I think he realizes what's going on as well. He might have done himself a disservice by making more drones, but he hasn't used that lair for anything. He has been focused on building his own Lings and Banelings as well, which has kept him afloat, kept him alive, kept him ahead in this game.
Actually ridiculous. Snoot doubling the work account of BioIce and still holding pretty convincingly here. Losing a couple of drones here and there, and he has to scramble around a little bit, but obviously he knows that he did damage early on, that there is a lot of commitment in his aggression of BioIce, and as long as he doesn't end up losing an entire mineral line, he's always going to be okay, and that's obviously the position that he finds himself in. Even feels confident enough to throw down that Spire.
When you consider how long he waited to do so, you can see that he really took BioIce's threat seriously, but now he's been able to accrue a lot more gas, so he can both make Banelings and a Spire. He won't make, 10, 12 mutas, but even 4 at this point in time will help snipe the Banelings, and BioIce should just tap out once he sees a muta, actually.
And Snoot still makes 8 more drones. I mean, how often do you see this, Jess? A Spire, 8 more drones, 42 against 24 in a game that almost feels like non-stop fighting, but Snoot's trades have just been phenomenal. Never took too much damage. He's gonna have a tough time here as there are Lings in his main and a couple of Lings being annoying at his third base as well. But I mean, Snoot is just, well, other than those idle drones, he's handling all of it very, very convincingly.
Yeah, BioIce sees, I mean, he saw the early there. I think he knew Spire was on Snoot's mind and probably really hoped that that Spire would kill Snoot even, as it certainly has done in the past. So I think when you face an all-in like this, but it hasn't killed Snoot. Snoot's going to complete it with a ton of drones. And he's going to be able to build, what, 6 mutas it looks like?
Can we take a look at the units lost in this game? So it's 183 Lings on the side of BioIce against the 121 for Snoot. Obviously, Banes can be a little deceiving, but Snoot has handled all of this with ease. Like, it's actually crazy. You look at a game and you feel like there is so much happening and it's so back and forth and explosions everywhere. And then you look at the numbers and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't even remotely close.
No, it's not. Even struggling to now get those queens, which were dying piece by piece in the early game. And now those mutas are out. He did actually not make the full extent of his bank into mutas, but now he is up. Has a muta appeared. He tapped out. There you go. GG. Snoot continues the domination 3-0 against Canada, and now we have to see a revive.
That was actually pretty impressive by Snoot. That felt like 9 minutes and 40 seconds of almost non-stop fighting as soon as BioIce hit his like 22 or 24 drone. And during all of that, during being under that much pressure while only attacking once himself, he got up to 55 drones, a layer, had a Spire as well, and he's still just trading with Lings and Banes back and forth. That's actually a pretty remarkable game by Snoot.
It was. I mean, it didn't look like it was the, nail biter because there was always queens. There was always a decent amount of drones. But at any point, 2 Banelings sneak in, and suddenly it's indeed very close.
I love how long Snoot kept this one Baneling alive here. There's one Bane that obviously explodes quite quickly, but then the other one stays around for so long. And that's so frustrating for BioIce, because then you can't really get the fight that you want for. You have to be so careful, you have to run away from it. And Snoot obviously doesn't just want to give his Baneling away. He's like, no, I'm okay with this Bane not blowing up anywhere. I'm okay with it just zoning your units out. And look at all those drones. 4 drones went down, and these drones are not mining. So you have a gold base, but it just doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, and it's not even just about that problem. The other problem was that his own attack was delayed. He had a very similar idea. He had pre-made 2 Banelings to connect with the Lings flooding in, and then he was the one that had to pull back to defend. So he missed the timing, he missed the surprise factor, and he missed drones, which were crucial in continuing to provide enough aggression.
Yeah, maybe if those 4 Banes that he was morphing very early on the Snoot's side of the map, if those could have somehow get into a mineral line and get like 6-7 drones, then maybe we're looking at a completely different game. But, you know, even that worker advantage that we had in this phase, and this continued for like 4 more minutes, guys. There's non-stop Lings and Banes for BioWise. But even now, Snoot is 18 workers ahead, producing 2-3 queens at any given moment. Pretty sick game with Snoot.
It was. And now he'll face another Zerg player. We at least know that much. But the question is, who put up the best fights? I mean, it's been all ZVZ, and it's all been Snoot favored.
I think the captain.
I mean, it's the most obvious choice.
Back-to-back Codas.
Yeah, exactly.
Got close again.
Back-to-back, but not quite back after that.
No. But don't count him out just yet. I'm gonna figure it out in 20 seconds. I think like Flood is obviously still a little new to this stage, and it would be very weird to revive Flood here. Now, BioWise, if he really feels strongly about the next map or about a map in particular, he could maybe convince Jake. But I think that, you know, the entirety of Team Canada knows that taking out Snoot twice and also Poseidon and Scythe is always going to be very hard here.
Yeah, we actually haven't even had to mention the other 2 guys from Norway, but they are still available. It is no regret. Okay.
No regrets.
Yeah, no regrets. Maybe regrets a couple of his builds, but
never. All of them were with heart and commitment to the push. That's all that matters in the end for Jake.
Yeah, that's true. I actually thought that BioIce maybe had a better shot. It felt like his build wasn't slapped down as hard, but it still was slapped down pretty hard with the early push on his own gold not going well. But it's really like, yeah, no regrets, the obvious choice. He did have about as good of a game, and I'm sure he has some other type of designated pressure in mind for Catalyst.
Described it as the Mona Lisa once upon a time.
He did.
I think every Parisian died a little bit on that day. But our map is going to be Catalyst. Obviously, no regret, has his work cut out for him. Canada is down 0-3. Kenny, with some good old designated pressure perhaps, turn things around. As he is, our red Zerg spawning on the left top side of the map. He's the captain. It is no regret.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg for Norway, he is Snoot.
That is a very fast extractor for no regret.
12-12, right? That's, or 13-12, something along those lines. The fastest you can really do. It is included with gas. It's completely all in. And Snoot, I mean, he has not done anything that says I am specifically trying to deny an early pool. He has been going for the hatch first, into gas, into pool, but that is something you can defend with good micro.
I would love to see No Regret actually take this game, even though I'm a big fan, of course, of Snoot, the highest earning non-Korean StarCraft 2 player of all time, guys. He has earned over $350,000. Looking to add a little more, but I'd really love to see No Regret go up against a Poseidon, go up against this Scythe. Like, I have no idea what to expect of those games, and that just makes the idea very fun already.
So maybe I spoke a little too convincingly about him going for the gas and then pool, because to be honest, it hasn't been an issue in a lot of these games. This game, though, paying very close attention, it was pool, then gas. I mean, the difference of even 2 seconds of getting that extra queen out, of getting your lings out and about, is pretty important, and gas is something that you're really going to think about for later. Like, once you've dealt with this push, do you have a counter? Do you have your banelings? Like, what do you go to? But that's the next step. First of all, he has to defend against this. It is going to be included with banelings. It's expected. And Snoots is building nothing but lings right now.
Yep, the first queens, the first lings are going to be very, very important, of course, for Snoot already. It's important that he eventually gets up a spine, or at least gets the queen on hold position on the ramp. He's going to see these lings. I'm sure that he's not terribly shocked by it. This is something that I'm sure he was thinking of in the beginning of the game. No Regret trying to perhaps surround these Zerglings that pop almost immediately. Got a little bit of damage there, but obviously needs a lot more there. We do have one of those spines being thrown up immediately. Where are those banelings for No Regret?
They're still waiting for the baneling nest to finish. This so far is a good hold. He did not lose drones. He did not lose a queen. He is going to lose his lings. Oh, drones have to be pulled again. They want to protect that spine crawler. It's halfway done, but queens are now out. They can kind of do the job for the drones, as they should. Now the banelings are on the way.
This actually, I mean, a lot of those lings were still very low on HP. Snoot shouldn't take that fight. I mean, he kind of had the numbers almost, especially with a couple of shots from the queens, but he really didn't have the HP. Now Jake is going to jump on top of the spine crawler. Does a lot of damage to it. Transfuse does connect though. The spine will go down, but what else is there for No Regret?
Even if he kills these drones, he also has to deal with the hatchery, so still a lot more damage to be done for No Regret, but no, not quite. Third queen is now out. Transfuse is ready, I believe, in that second queen, although she's being target fired. Not well enough. And I don't know, it looks like Snoot's going to be okay, even though it's a little scary.
He was shooting at his own cocoon direction, or he was shooting at the Baneling, never mind. So one queen does go down, but the Ling numbers just aren't really there for No Regret, right? Normally, to make this scary, you really need to have those 12, 14 Zerglings running around in your opponent's natural.
Yeah.
And Snoot is actually just kind of pushing these Zerglings away at this point, with his 3 queens, with his defensive Banelings as well. And he's like, you know, I think I'm more than fine here. And I guess what? You are, Snoot.
Yeah, with this early of an attack, there really is a big burst in the initial attack, and then it falls off so heavily afterwards. No Regret is in a desperate situation. He was only at like 12 drones. He uses one to build a hatchery, another one to build an evolution chamber. That's already a big amount of economy, and I mean, he's going to try and catch up now, and Snoot can't really do much aggressively without his own speed, but this game is Snoot's to win.
And he doesn't really have to, right? I mean, Snoot obviously has vision of the natural of No Regret. He knows how late that hatchery is with his Overlord, and he identifies the situation. He's like, been here, done that. Just gonna drone up, do what I do best, and then obviously eventually get my own Zergling speed. And then we can trade all day, because I know that I will always be at least 10 workers ahead, if not a lot more.
Which is the case right now. We do have, I thought he was stepping on a building, maybe I missaw, but it is speed on the way. Roughly timed out with No Regrets +1 melee. That will not help against the Banelings like Carapace does, but it will help in the direct fights, Ling versus Ling. Okay, he's gonna stop on Roach Warren.
Yeah, I mean, obviously if you can get Lings with +1 on top of Roaches, that is very nice. The biggest problem is always going to be the couple of Banelings that Snoot will have in the mix as well. How, even if No Regret, like, somehow catches up economically, gets a big swell of Lings out, how is he supposed to get the engagements that he's looking for when Snoot also has a Baneling nest? Yeah,
that's a real complication. If Snoot had defended pure Ling and then went into Roach without any Banelings, there is actually a pretty large chance that he, gets too overconfident, moves out in +1 melee. Is the big surprise, but now Snoot should first of all know that a sneaky follow-up should be on No Regret's mind, so either faster Roaches or +1 melee in this case, and then also know that a couple Banelings will be able to save him. He is making a lot of Roaches. Yep. I mean, his plan here could just be to try and end the game right here, right now.
Yep, and I wouldn't hate that plan actually, as No Regret is going to scout the natural from Snoot, sees no additional extractors, runs his 2 Lings into 2 Banelings. That is technically a good trade, especially if Snoot doesn't remake those Lings and doesn't remake those Banelings. I mean, he still has 2 in the mix, but imagine if No Regret can connect with his own Banelings to the Banelings of Snoot and then take a big fight. Oh, that's another one. Only a single Bane is remaining for Snoot. I mean, his army is still massive compared to the army of No Regret, but maybe if No Regret can squeeze out a few more Lings and +1 can kick in as well, perhaps we're looking at a Canadian miracle on Catalyst here.
Maybe. Of course, Snoot's his Roach count is not bad. If they're protecting each other, it should be good. And even if his Banelings aren't here, even his Lings helping the Roaches out is going to be a big problem for No Regret. Those do not look like enough Lings, even with +1. He does find the Banelings, but he can't actually kill them, and more Roaches are on the way for Snoot.
Nice micro there as well, morphing one of those low HP Roaches into Ravagers. The Banes is truly what complicates this, and of course all the reinforcements that are on the way as well. Snoot just a little too far ahead economically after defending the early designated pressure of the Canadian captain. And it looks like we're looking at another all kill from this man who's done this way too many times.
He does like his stats. That's it. With the drone pool, No Regret is truly desperate. Unfortunately, he will not be able to send his team the victory, but there is the losers match against China. Now that is official, GG.
Snoot, the man who has won more maps in Nationwide than I think any other player out there. I mean, 32 and 14, make it 36 and 14. And I'm already getting a little excited thinking about some potential ZVZs between Snoot and Raynor, because that's, of course, something that is, well, to be expected in the next war.
Yeah, absolutely, and that will be the upcoming match, right?
So congratulations, we are 4-0 here, all kill for Norway. And they're gonna face Italy in the winners match. And we're gonna have the interview with the 3 members of the team.
All 3 of them?
Yeah, all 3 of them.
It's a party. Why didn't we get all 3 of Italy?
Sorry?
Why didn't we get all 3 of Italy?
Oh, because they haven't played. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, all I see is Poseidon, you know, covering up his wall, making sure that I can't tease him anymore. But I haven't seen him play any games yet either. No, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm just messing with you, Hajin.
Yeah, you're so mean.
No.
Have you seen this?
I just wanted to see the face of Mia Nonna because we don't have a picture.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm
if you get all
curious
three,
too.
yeah, if we get all three of Norway, I want to see all three of Italy as well.
Beautiful music.
Skrillex back in action again. The latest mix.
I don't know what's up with that, but here we see, I mean, the beginning of the early pool rush for Norgret. It was kind of decided kind of early. Once there was enough queens, 3, really, I felt like it was quite confident for Snoot, as that attack just falls off so harshly for Norgret.
Yeah, it really felt like he never had a bigger link number than Snoot had. I mean, obviously at the very first moment when the links didn't pop yet, but Snoot is doing a really good job here in buying time for his spine and also not committing to a fight. And then he looked at it, he's like, well, actually you don't have that many links. Now we can fight, and the reinforcements coming. This was the only perhaps scary moment when link speed finished up. But with the queens already there, the drones being pulled once again, and that spine more than 50% of its health. I mean, what do you do if you no regret? If you jump on the spine, you lose all your links. You fight the queens, the spine is going to finish up, and at best you get 1 queen. It just felt like that wasn't the right choice for him anymore.
No, it really wasn't. Snoot's masterful defense also kind of prepared for that with the pool before gas, so he had a tiny little bit faster on everything that requires a pool. And, I mean, it's not so unexpected for Norgret to end things with a bang, with the early pool. So, expected. And a bit of an expected result, although I did not expect Snoot to come out first. That was the big surprise.
I know, I didn't expect that either. If I would have known that, I would have altered my prediction a little bit.
Right?
Maybe
Exactly.
one to the left.
Yeah.
I mean, Snoot is just super good. He still plays a lot, streams quite a bit as well. And it's funny because people think 2017, they're like, it wasn't a great year for Snoot. But he still made it to the global finals. He made it to the finals of Valencia as well. He had a deep run in Montreal, I think, as well. Where it was
Wait, was it top 4?
Yeah, I think it was semifinals, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. No, wasn't it finals?
No, the finals was in Valencia against Elaser.
Didn't he just lose to Sneeb?
Oh yes, was it back to? Yeah, it was back-to-back finals. I mean, top 4 and finals at the same. You know, you have to make top 4 to make it to the finals. No, you're right. So he had 2 final appearances. Obviously, very good. This year we haven't seen too much of Snoot yet, but obviously, I mean, the first signs that we just saw nation-wise look pretty good.
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about this with the players already. We're with us now. Hello, everyone. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, so first question, Poseidon. In your previous interview with Norgret, you were like taunting him, and why did you choose Snoot as a starting player? How did you decide on this?
Because we had a map border set down, so if it was going to be that map, we wanted to use Snoot because he was so confident in his CVC, so we found it really convincing to use him first. And again, it's also good to use one of your best first, so you can hide some of the builds from the other players. It's a bit later of the stage.
Okay, so Snoot, hi. Good
Hello.
to see you. Well, first, congratulations. And did you expect to all kill Team Canada?
I actually didn't expect it because my CVC has been a little bit all over the place. I know Poseidon said that I was confident, but maybe confident against Canada. But I think, for example, playing against Rainer is going to be a bit more of a challenge because I think my CVC is not my best matchup right now.
Okay, so this is your 5th participation to Nation Wars. So you've been here quite a long time. What do you think of the overall level of the tournament when you see what the other teams compared to the previous years?
I think the level is just going up and up. Like every year, it becomes more and more difficult. So many nations right now are looking super strong. Poland, South Korea, of course. I wanted to say France, but you know, things happened.
Netherlands,
Italy, Rainer, and lots more nations. I just think it's way more stacked than it's ever been in the past, and some nations have maybe fallen off a little bit as well. I don't think Russia, for example, is as strong as they used to be, and yeah, you know, it's a little bit of a mix, but overall, I think the level has increased.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, you said you're going to have some difficulty against Raynor. I think all of us believe that. Raynor's just looking to be really on fire. Are you worried at all about not making out of the group? Are you worried about Canada again or China?
Well, I was actually a little bit concerned about Canada, but after today's match, I'm not really feeling concerned anymore. I'm a little concerned about China because they have some very strong players overall. Yeah, we'll see. Like, it's really tricky to take down Raynor, but I'm confident that even if we don't win the next match, that we can still advance. At least assuming if we do well against China.
I'm kind of mesmerized by the beautiful wall of Snoot, and then I look at Poseidon's wall again, and I'm like, he still hasn't cleaned it up. I mean, come on. I've got a question for both Poseidon and Scythe. I mean, you look at Team Italy, and I think it's safe to say that all of you guys are worried about Raynor, right? Like, Raynor is, the kid that's on fire right now. How do you rate your own chances to possibly do Snoot a great favor and take at least one map of Raynor, either Poseidon or Scythe? Do you guys think it's possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
That's your answer, yeah.
Yeah. We got it all planned, boys.
Yes, you've got a plan.
Okay.
Have you guys been working already? I mean, obviously Canada was full of Zergs, and then you look at the rest of this group. Maybe China, not so much, of course, but I mean, you look at Italy. Did you guys work specifically on your versus Zerg matchup, or maybe even ask a couple questions to Big Daddy Snoot?
Well, I actually have only been practicing PvC like the last 3-4 days at least. So, a bit painful matchup, but I think it's going to be good.
All right, happy to hear that. What about you, Scythe? How's the Terran versus Zerg looking?
I think it was kind of predictable to see Italy beat China. So definitely we've been practicing a lot of versus Zerg. And as for my chances versus Raynor, I don't think I'm a favorite at all. But it's a best of one, and anything can happen.
All right, well, happy to hear. It should be a really fun match. I'm excited.
Okay. Well, congratulations. And do you have any last words for your Norwegian fans?
Well, I got one question for Rot,
Oh.
I feel I got striked without watching last time, so I have to bring one to you, mate.
Okay, what happened? Give it to me.
So, you remember last year we had a home story cup, and the fans and the community wanted a shirtless Rotti, and we felt disappointed about that,
Well,
so I'm wondering if you got any special tactics training looking forward to the next home story cup.
I do actually. I believe it's gonna be around June, July, and it just happens to be fluke season that day in the Netherlands, and I'm afraid I might get a little feverish, and I'm gonna tell Dennis that I possibly can't make it. No, don't worry. We're working on it. The problem is they keep feeding me like desserts here in Paris and baguettes, and like it's heading all in the wrong direction. Like. I'm not too happy to even be reminded of this, but I guess we'll start doing some push-ups in the next break.
Oh, that's great, huh?
Okay, well, thank you for the interview, guys. Any last words?
Just thanks everyone who is cheering Norway on for this tournament, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Okay. Well, thank you, and see you soon with Poseidon. We're gonna have another interview with Raynor after the break for your next series.
Fun, guys. Lopsided reaction there when he's just kind of giggling about thinking his match against Raynor. But then at the same time, he talks himself some courage and he's like, oh, it's a best of one, right? Like, it is possible, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Gotta give himself his confidence boost.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's gonna be nice. Okay, so we're gonna have a 5-minute break before the next series. And let me remind you, you can still buy in-game items and support the tournament by participating in the prize pool. See you guys after the break.